Yo, what's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to be going over the 90 tutorial. So if you don't know what a 90 is, I'll go over everything you need to do to get started, to get really good at it and get really advanced with this aspect of your game. I'm going to literally break down how I advanced my 90, and real quick I'm showing you what my 90s look like right now, not to flex, but to show you that I do have the credibility to speak upon the subject. Once again, if you know me at all, this is a very important thing for me to do, because I think it's important as an individual, if you're going to take tips from anybody, make sure that they can actually do what they're talking about before you actually take their tip into consideration and put any sort of value onto it. So that's why I'm showing you these clips. If you think I can do 90s good and you want to do 90s like these, then watch the tutorial. If you don't, click away. Pretty simple. Also, real quick, this is a map that I made. I never really showed you guys what this looks like. It's a 1v1 map. Yeah, just showing you what this is. We'll use this for the entire tutorial. Comment down below what biggest no-life thing you've done on Fortnite is. This is probably what mine was. Biggest waste of my life. Literally used it like 4 times. But that's why today we're going to use it for the video. So yeah, let's get into it. So if you've never heard of the 90 for some reason, you might be new to the game. What this is the fastest way to achieve high ground. And if you have high ground in Fortnite, then you are at a huge advantage in terms of the gunfight. Your odds of winning go much higher. So the first consideration I want you guys to know is that you have to be able to look around and jump at the same time. If you can't do this, you can't do a 90. It's as simple as that. For some reason, a lot of people don't cover this aspect of a 90 during their tutorial, and people are lost in terms of like why they can't do a 90, and it's because you have to look around and jump at the same time. So how do you achieve that? There's 3 ways to do it. The first is claw grip. You could use your pointer finger to press your A button or whatever your jump button is, and that allows you to keep your right thumb on your right thumbstick so that you can look around while you jump. The issue with this is, one, people claim it can give you arthritis. I don't know if that's true or not, but for me it's just uncomfortable on my hands and my fingers, and so I don't like it. I don't use it. Your next consideration is to use paddles. So you could buy like a strike pack for a few bucks. That's probably the cheapest option for you, or you could go out and buy an Elite controller like I did, the most expensive option. But the reason I spent the money on it is because I was going to be trying really hard to improve this part of my game, and round out my entire game in general. So the Elite controller helped me with that, and it allows me to not only jump at the same time as I look around, but I can pull out my mats while I look around. I can, oh, that's nice. I can edit while I look around, which I'm not looking at something, but okay, I can look around while I edit. So to me, in my opinion, paddles are the most valuable investment that you can make in making this work. The other last option, the third option that you have, is to change your custom binds. Now, I do a combination of the binds and the paddles. If you want to know my full binds and all that stuff, I'll link it right now, but I'm not going to go into that in this video because it's not really necessary. I'll go over basic things, but if you are interested in just sticking with a custom bind that will achieve this, let's say you don't want to use the claw grip and you don't want to use paddles, then this is what you can do. You can change your left thumbstick right here to your jump button. This allows you once again to keep your right thumb on your right thumbstick and jump while you look around. You could also, if you have a PS4 remote, there'll be an option right here for the touchpad. You could use that as your jump button. I don't know how effective that would be because I've never used a PS4 remote, but I do know that that's the only other option you have. It's basically those 2 buttons. Otherwise, if you change anything else up here, you'll be messing with the Builder Pro layout, and I'm sure that you don't want to do that. That's not really something that would be valuable in my opinion. Real quick, let's talk about sensitivity. I'm on 0.703 and 2.0 billion sensitivity. This might scare you guys. You do not need a fast billion sensitivity to perform a 90. Don't take advice from anyone that says you gotta have fast building sense to be able to pull off a 90. No, that's wrong. You can use a moderately fast building sensitivity or moderately slow building sensitivity. Obviously, it can't be super slow, but what I do recommend you guys do is don't go crazy with it like I am right here. This is not what you want to start on. When I started doing 90s, I had 0.7 and I had like 1.6 or 1.5. Like, it was basically like twice my controller sensitivity is what my building sensitivity was, and that was perfectly fine. No issues with it, and I mean, it took like a week or 2 of just consistently practicing 90s, but I was able to get it down, able to get the motion down, and just be able to perform it consistently. Now, the reason that I upped it all the way to 2.0 and decided to master that with the 90 is because I like to be able to look around and just trail myself in like really fast. So obviously this gives me an advantage in terms of not getting shot for as long. Before I can build and turn myself in. But it also allows me to edit pretty fast, and I just like the way it feels in terms of editing. So there's all the pluses with that and why I use a high sensitivity and why you probably should eventually get to that, but once again I would start with a moderately low or moderately fast, however you're looking at it, sensitivity. So now that you're able to actually jump and look around at the same time and you have your sensitivity down and ready to go, you can get into the motion of the 90. How is this thing performed? So there's a lot of different variations, and the thumbnail, don't let people trick you into thinking that like one version of a 90 is faster than the other. It's not. So the answer to the thumbnail is that the speed of a 90 is not determined based off the method in which it's performed. Rather, it's determined on where you land on your ramp and keeping the momentum as you're actually performing the 90, right? So it doesn't matter which way you move your reticle, which way you actually perform the 90, it just depends on where you land on the ramp and making sure that you're running forward consistently. There's no hindrances, no stops in when you're jumping, no pauses, nothing like that. So the first thing to look out for when doing a 90 is that you do not want to hit this wall as you are trying to perform it. I'm sure you've heard this tip a lot, and this is one tip that I actually agree with. If you hit this, you will slow down, and that's why you don't want to hit this wall. The goal of a 90, as I said, is to fluently and with no hindrances go through the motion of the 90. If you hit this wall, you'll pause, you'll stop, and it's not a good thing. So the way to avoid this is the time in which you jump. This is what we're trying to get down, right? The time in which you jump is so important to doing the 90, and it's going to take a lot of practice, so don't think that there's just a magic formula for you. It doesn't, everything requires hard work, right? So what you're going to want to do, and what I've figured out, is that yes, this wall places right here, but when you want to jump is whenever you get to this little edge right here. Or really, whenever I started, I was just thinking I'll just get my reticle onto this wall and that's when I'll jump. So I literally like turn into it, I almost hit the wall, I turn into it, and as I place that, I walk up the ramp. Now another aspect of this, that's when you should jump. So the first thing to take away is to jump whenever you turn and place that wall and get your reticle onto that actual wall. Not when it's over here. Get your reticle onto this wall when as you jump. The other aspect is when do you turn. So you don't ever, I know it looks like we hit this wall, but we don't. I did right there, and I did right there. But whenever you're actually performing it full speed, you don't hit this wall. You get very, very close to it. So when you jump and when you turn is what determines if you're going to hit that wall or not. So as I said, jump whenever you look this way, right? Now turn, you want to turn about right. I'll do this very slow motion. This is the motion in which I take, is like that. There's this little edge. I just imagine like a triangle right here, and I just cut it off. I don't go there. So that's how I do that. Now another controversial topic about the 90, or I guess the first controversial topic about the 90, is that people will say, okay, I don't know if I should put the flat down, then the ramp, or if I should just leave out the flat altogether. Like, which way's the fastest? Wow, I flew. In my opinion, in my experience with it, the flat is going to give you the most consistent outcome in terms of like being consistent with the 90. You could do the other version like without it, but it just, I don't know, man. It just feels more clunky, and I don't like it. I think just turn my ramp. Yep, there we go. So for me, go ahead and do the flat. The reason I like the flat is that if you're down here and you put that flat down, it pushes you up. So when you get pushed up, now you have more time to jump, and it just makes the timing of the entire 90 so much better. Just so much better. It's crazy. So this is the most basic version of the 90. Is this very basic circular motion. Completely butchered that. But in my opinion, this is what you should start with. Alright, start with the very basic 90. Just the simple clockwise circular motion. Once you have that down, that's whenever you can kind of expand onto better, in my opinion, better feeling 90s. The way that I like to do my 90 now is to go to the right, and then I go up again, and then like this just gets my rhythm going. Once I have that rhythm down, then I finish off my last two 90s like a normal traditional 90. So the way it looks is something like this. Some other variations look something like this. I'm personally not a fan of this one because it gives you a lot less cover, and it's just not something that I like doing. It doesn't really feel comfortable, but it does conserve mats, so it has that. You gotta give it credit where credit's due, but besides that, not really great. And then there's also, you'll have like PC sweats going like this. People get crazy with it, man. They do really like weird 90s. I'm not a huge fan of that one. It's also very difficult on console. All you need to do is get the first 90 down. That's going to be perfectly fine. Or if you're like me and you want to be a little bit crazy with it, you do something like that. Oh, that leads us to our next topic, is something to watch out for. Whenever you're performing the 90 and putting that flat down, make sure that you actually look down as you place this wall. So you place the wall, immediately look down to place the flat. The flat has to come out faster than you get up here, because if you get to the edge of your jump, like the end of your jump, and put the flat down, it's gonna appear above your head, and that's not gonna be good, right? You want it down low. Another issue is if you don't look down at all and you're just looking forward, then you could actually, like, if you're down here and you're looking up, then it'll place a flat above your head. Versus I'm looking down, it's gonna place a flat down there. So you'll see, that's why I really like the fast sensitivity, is because it really forces you to look down and, you know, just make sure that you're doing it correctly. Now lastly, you might be wondering about the left 90. How is this one different than the right 90? Okay, that's a great place to start this segment at build height. The left 90 is no different than the right. You just have to practice it. And personally, I wouldn't worry about this one until I was done mastering the right 90. Because if you can't do that one, you'll have no idea how to do the left one. It's just never going to work. So it will just naturally come. It did for me at least. It just naturally comes. You get good at the right 90, you start doing the left 90, and it'll just get better progressively. Don't worry about like doing this one first. It's just gonna feel really weird. So yeah, with that said, guys, thanks for watching. I do enjoy you guys commenting, and make sure to comment below, ask questions. Let me know what you guys didn't learn from this video, what you wish was in the video. Let me, if I can answer the question down below, then I will do my best to do so. So with that said, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.